Okay. Hi. Good evening. Here we meet again, playing with wires. So, some guy that doesn't change his tires on time, you know the type, had a blowout. The blowout ripped all this off. I did a video already showing that, so go back and watch that video. We're fast forwarding to this video. This video is reconnecting everything that happened here. The original idea was to go to the junkyard and get this whole harness brand new, because that would have been easier, right? But we went to a junkyard and we only found a 2008 Patriot within the Central Florida area. Everything else was like Melbourne, Ocalapka, Florida. I can't say it right. There was carparts.com. These places were like 200 miles away. No way, not happening. In Georgia, all over. So I said, all right, the harness has to be a 2014. I can't use a 2008 harness. So I had no choice but to repair this harness, as tedious as it is. So there's 20 wires that were damaged up against this getting pulled that way. It went clank, pulled the whole thing, cut through all these wires. We're down to the last wire. I'm gonna do this last one on camera just to show y'all. Now keep in mind, I've pulled this and pulled this as much as I could so that it'll reach. But this was like up in here and this was like over here. So I had to loosen this and pull it here. So now these are gonna be shorter than what they need to be to connect here. I'll show you in a second. Let me just connect this one while I have someone here holding the phone. Thank you for my lovely assistant. Now y'all can see how this happens. This is a 20 gauge apparently, the smallest one there is. You don't want to take too much of that off. You just want to take a little bit of the skin off like that. Twisty does the job. You do that. Now I looked at some of these where you could actually solder them, but I opted on not soldering them because of the limited workspace in there. To get in there with a solder gun and everything would have been very uncomfortable. This is already as uncomfortable as I want to get. So we twisty, and now we need a connector. Thank you very much. So we're gonna take this guy in. And now because I've already pulled on some of these wires out and the car pulled on it, I still need to finish going under the dash and making sure that everything's plugged in. But before I do that, I want to connect it here first. Because when I go to plug it in the dash, I'm most likely gonna have to pull this back in for it to reach to whatever it plugs into behind the dash. And you say, well, what is that? Well, most of this, believe it or not, goes to the fuse instrument panel that's inside of the car behind the dash. There are a few other ones that go to other
What are you doing right now?
Individual things. Right now I am called biting down. Crimping is the word. I'm biting down, for those that don't understand the mechanic terminology, but I'm crimping this wire. And I'm taking the metal and just kind of biting it down onto the wire itself. Now the thing is, you don't want to bite so far down that you cut all the way through. But you want to just kind of tug it and feel that it got a good bite on it. And so next you do the same thing with the other side. Before you stick her in the hole, you want to make sure that it's twisted up good, because it's like barely the right size to fit in there. So you got that. The trick is you got to kind of hold it up in there, so when you crimp it, it's all the way in. See how it wants to come back out? So you bite down without biting all the way through is the key thing. And I usually bite down in more than one location. So now that you got that bit down, these are the better butt connectors that you can actually burn. Fire.
Your favorite part?
Fire. I like it. So we burn this down all the way through. This is where she'll tell me to stop,
Yes.
but I don't know how to stop because I like this.
He likes the way it smells.
Because it smells so good. If they could turn this into a cologne, I'd wear it. Okay, so now that that's all connected there, I'm going to give you a visual of what's going to happen next. This rubber boot is going to go in there. But before I put that rubber boot there, now that I've made sure that all this is good, I'm waiting for that to cool down. It's still hot. I'm going to take good quality tape, Scotch 3M. Do not buy the Harbor Freight cheap electrical tape. It will not hold. It will not stick. 3M Scotch brand is all you want to use. Do not be cheap. So we'll take some of this electrical tape and we will obviously, I already did this before the video. I went through and I made sure everything was connected right. So I will start down here and I will come up yonder this way, and as I'm pulling up, I'm making sure it's tight and then bringing it back down. So as you pull up, you make sure it's tight and then back down, and I kind of help it along the way with this finger, and I'm tightening her up, making sure that it's snug, and I'm coming up all the way this way. Now some of these wires aren't gonna line up as far as the same length, so you kind of have to just work it. Work what your mama gave ya. So we come around here. Here's where we get creative because, again, like I said, we're working with limited real estate. And we're trying to get up in here as best as we can, and we're getting tangled up and it gets difficult. But you just keep doing the best you can and to get as much of this wrapped up as possible without having to cut the tape. I want to keep one strand of tape going as long as you possibly can. And this roll is too fat to fit up in that hole. So I'm gonna have to cut here. A lot of people will bite this. Don't bite it because your saliva will ruin it as far as sticking. So take your snippers, pinch a corner, that way it rips through easy. And then make sure you get a good grab onto the black tape, not onto the wires with the last little bit of it. You see how we got this wire right here? That's wanting to kink up. That's the kind of stuff you want to look for. You want to lay it down flat to where it's not going to come back out of there. So that's pretty much as far as we can get in there. What I can do now is, just because that one's kinked up a little bit, I can add a little piece like that. But this is starting to get complicated, y'all. We're getting into tight quarters here. And I'm gonna do one more. Oh, I can see I'm almost there. Look, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And you see inside how there's black in there? Yeah, there you go, it's on camera. So we only got a teeny little piece to go and then it's all covered. It's just not easy. I don't have little kid hands.
I do.
To get up in here. So we'll probably have to use her hands here in a minute, but I'm gonna make an attempt to get these last pieces in here. almost there, but we got one more little wraparound and we're done here, boys and girls. Y'all been very good students today. We're almost there. Just don't quit now. We got one more little wraparound to go. This is the kind of stuff that customers are never usually here to see and fully appreciate. So now this, you can try to pull in there because it's taped without worrying about those connectors coming apart. So then this guy, goes just like that. And then that's sealed. Now technically,
Yep.
I want this to come down. You see how it's a little, I want to see if I can pull this a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. So then this is gonna come over here and go over here, and it looks like most of it's gonna reach. You see, imagine this all taped up out of the way over here, and this connected to here. It looks like spaghetti now, but that's all connected. So some of these wires in this madness of spaghetti are shorter than others, you see, and some come out longer. So some of the shorter ones that go all the way back are the ones you want to start with first. Which ones go all the way back the furthest, like this yellow one. All right, you want to go with the ones that are the shortest ones, and the same over there, the shortest to the shortest, and then always go from the shortest to the shortest until the long goes. And you obviously color match them all. So that'll all get connected. That'll be the last step. Before I go to do that, I want to go inside behind the dash and follow this harness and make sure that everything to the back of the fuse box is connected in place. Let me give you an example with this fuse box. Okay, so these are the connectors. Camtech heat shrink butt connectors. They're waterproof, insulated, durable, 3.1 shrinkage ratio, 300 pieces in red, 22 to 18 gauge. This was a pretty good buy on Amazon. Anybody looking to do this, go check them out. So as you can see, we had plugs here, and you see this got pulled out. This is a ground, and you might think it's a little ground. It's not important, but guess what? Grounds, even this little, are important enough to make the car not start. They're very important. So this ground, we're gonna find out what it is when we try to start it and it doesn't start. But the key thing is to try to find where in the back of one of these plugs it was originally plugged and got pulled out. So one of these plugs got pulled out, and from the rippage that you see here, I want to, and see how it's part of that same harness. So it looks like originally it would have come this way, but then it looks too short to have been attached here and still reach there. So it leads me to believe it's somewhere over here. It's not part of that one. So we're looking at either this plug or that plug, and these are the main plugs, and they have a little safety thing right here. And this one should be ready to come out, but it's not. Okay, so that's up and out of the way. This got a little hurt, so it's not wanting to let go. Okay. So then we get up in here and we can look carefully at all this one by one and see where it's missing. Some of these. Now you can tell, I don't know if the camera will let you see, but inside some of them have metal and some of them are just plastic. The ones that are just plastic down in there, those didn't have nothing in them to begin with. So it couldn't have been that. So you want to look in there and see signs of something that this metal was attached to. So you see this had the metal, like look, you see right here on this one, this little metal bracket thing. This one got ripped completely off. So the other part of this would still be in there. So you're going to see some kind of sign of something that was in there that got ripped out. So that's what you're looking for. And you just got to have a good close eye at it and make sure that you don't have some big wire hiding it. And I don't see it on that plug. So it's most likely on this plug. And it could have been this plug. Because see, it'll run alongside of this one too. But it could have been running along that one. So it's most likely this one. We've already verified it's not that one. Okay, so it's not on that top row. Let's look at this bottom row. Move the fat guy out of the way. Look underneath. 1, 2, 3. Nothing on that plug either, y'all. What a mystery. It's an unsolved mystery. This, so you know, goes right here. And this is your fuses. And it looks like we're missing a pretty important one right there. So these has 2 fuses that go there too that aren't there. So we got a couple fuses missing. No big deal. We've dealt with worse situations. But we do want to figure out where these 2 other wires went. The only other plug I haven't checked is this one. So we're going to pull this one out next, because why the hell not, right? And this one's in a little more awkward position.
And it's important to remember which one goes into which plug, right?
If you've never done this before, yeah, pay attention to that. I've already taken this apart at the junkyard once and here, so I know which one goes where. Not there. Let's see this side. Okay, so this one's not missing any either.
Where's it at?
It's right here. See, it looks like it ran beside this, see?
Yeah, it wouldn't go here.
Oh yeah, look at that.
It looks like a, because you'd think a
Good
ground
eye,
would be
yeah.
separate.
Yeah, and it's gray too.
You're welcome.
You are awesome. Okay, so look. I don't know if you can see inside here. You see the broken piece?
Yep.
And then you see the other wire inside there?
Mm-hmm. Confirmation.
So there's the confirmation you needed. These 2 went right there, and it looks like nothing else went in this plug other than that.
Just a ground.
And so this is not a ground, actually. Now that I look at it closely, look at the coloring of the wire. It's like that brown and green.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the brown. So this, the gazillion-dollar question is, how do you put this back in? How the hey, y'all, do we get this back in? And it's already broken here. See the case?
Mm-hmm.
It's cracked. So here's the answer to that. I'm going to go to the junkyard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take this plug from the one at the junkyard. I'm going to cut here and connect it here and have the good plug that's not broken to plug into there. because this is already cracked, see?
Mm-hmm.
From where it got pulled out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not gonna hold it no matter what. And then the other piece is stuck inside there. And tell me how the hell, what kind of tweezers do you get inside there with? And
0.2 inch.
I mean, to open this up, forget about it. This ain't meant to be opened up. So we got to go to the junkyard and pull this plug off of that. Okay, now camera back on me. I take this in my pocket to make sure, and I go to the junkyard. And you don't go to the junkyard and pay for this. Why? Because they charge you $3 just to walk in there. This is not worth more than $3. And y'all might be saying, shame, 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 Danny, you're gonna go steal it. It's not stealing if I paid $3 to go in and this plug ain't worth more than the $3 I paid to walk in. They're lucky. They're making a killing on the $3 they charged me to go in. So I'm gonna go in, pay them $3 to go in, snip, throw this in my pocket, walk out and say, you didn't have what I needed, have a good day. And I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna make sure I leave enough wire hanging off of the back to connect to this, to plug that back in. Dun, da, da, dun. Problem solved. So this goes in the pocket. On the bright side, we live to fight another day. This is the hardest part. Now that this is connected, tomorrow I go in under the dash and I make sure everything behind the dash is connected. Am I blinding you? Is this off? Okay. So tomorrow I go in behind the dash and make sure everything, just like I just showed you on these plugs, that all the wires are in. You see how they got some of them, you got to make sure that they didn't get pulled out. You got to kind of play with them and make sure which ones go in and which ones go out. So it's just going through all these plugs like that. And Ladonna caught that plug before I did, so it's only smart to go and check the rest of these and make sure. I will unplug them all and make sure that they're all nice and tight in there and have a good connection. It's tedious, like I said, but you got to go through and kind of make sure that all these plugs are good and get the one that's missing here in my pocket. There's a little cover that goes here for this that broke off, and it's the cover for the relay. And if you shine it, I don't know if you can see that in there, but in here, stuff can go inside of those and damage. So you want that covered. And then this fuse box that I have uncovered here takes this over it. And look, peekaboo, broken. So we're gonna have to get this cover for that at the junkyard too. And I think that's really all we need left at the junkyard. Everything else we should be a-okay. The wiring will reach. Get the cover for here, get the cover for there, get the plug. I got to do a little bit of fixing to the fender, put the plastic liner back, put the bumper back, give this back to the customer. We got a new used battery. These are refurbished, rebuilt batteries. They do have a 90-day warranty. That was $40 for that battery, and it has a 90-day warranty. So it's not a junkyard battery. It's a place called Battery World in Apopka that they take these old batteries and refurbish them. They just don't put all the fancy stickers like on the one you would buy from AutoZone. So that'll get that new refurbished battery. Sorry. And new covers. A lot of more butt connectors on there. This is connected here. Double check everything on the back of that, like I just said there. And we're still missing tires. So that tire you think looks good, but it's really not. As you can see, look how slick it is. It's getting ready to blow too. It's completely slick. So he needs at least 2 tires for the front. And we're looking for a set. We're looking for a set that will fit the car. And this is a rare bolt pattern. Like you would think another Jeep, any Jeep would fit it, but it's not. This is like a baby Jeep. It's technically not a real Jeep. So it doesn't have the same bolt pattern that a real Jeep would have. It has like a Honda bolt pattern, like a little Japanese 4-cylinder bolt pattern. Because guess what? It's a little 4-cylinder under the hood. It's not a real Jeep. So it's not even 4-wheel drive. It's just like some little front wheel drive. Really, this is a Dodge Neon. Do y'all remember the Dodge Neons? That's what this car is. Car everybody used to make fun of, Dodge Neons. That's what this is. It's the same engine that came in the Dodge Neon. They put it in here and they made the body a little more square to look like a little mini Jeep. And they call it a Patriot. And then you feel like you got a Jeep, but you really don't got a Jeep. So this is a Honda bolt pattern. It's a 5x114, 5x115 will kind of fit. So finding the right bolt pattern for this is very limited. It kind of has to be another Jeep Patriot or a Honda. Not all Hondas, some Hondas, but newer Hondas, 2010 and newer. So yeah, get the tires and then give it back to him. Anyways, this video has been long enough. Thank you for watching. Till the next video.